Just 1 week into the Premier League is already completely broken. The script's been torn up and your predictions are in the bin. The chaos has already begun. If you thought you had any clue how this season was going to play out, the opening weekend stared you down and laughed in your face and lit your betting slip on fire. And if you want proof, you only need to look at the MKM Stadium in newly promoted Hull City, back in the top flight for the first time since 2017. They didn't just hang with Manchester United, they dismantled them. A team with genuine title ambition was left totally stunned, and that wasn't even the only top 6 implosion of the weekend. Not by a long shot, okay? Manchester United get bullied by the Tigers. Okay, let us just kick things off with the results that sent shock waves through the league. Hull City 2, Manchester United 0. And no, this wasn't a fluke. It was a smash and grab. This was a tactical schooling. For 90 minutes, a team that most people tipped for an immediate trip back to the championship played with more heart, more brain, and way more fight than a club that spent hundreds of millions chasing its former glory. Okay, the damage was done in a catastrophic first half for Michael Carrick's side. United came out playing like their usual pretty sideways possession football. They look comfortable, but honestly, they look toothless. Hull City, on the other hand, were organized, aggressive, and absolutely deadly on set pieces. Every dead ball felt like a crisis for United. Okay, the backline looked completely rattled, and the first goal came from a corner that caused total chaos. With a defender, this guy Semi Aji, poking the ball home to send the crowd into a frenzy. Okay, you think that would be the wake-up call? It wasn't. Okay, because Manchester United could figure out what hit them. They could figure out what hit them. Hull City did it again. Another set piece, another moment of symbolic defending. Noble Mendy find the net. 2-0. Okay, the stadium was absolutely bouncing on the touchline. Carrick just looks cell-sucked. His team had all of the ball, but Hull City had all the points. The second half was just a story of desperate, useless pressure. United huffed and puffed, trying to find a way through, but Hull City defense lead by a heroic performance from their keeper, Konstantinos, was a break of wall. They were disciplined, compact. They just confused. They just refused to break. Every cross was met, by a towering header. Every true ball was cut out. It was a defensive masterclass built on pure and unadulterated grit. For Manchester United, this is a fire alarm fire. Losing is one thing, but getting so thoroughly and outfought by a newly promoted team on a day one, that's something else entirely. It brings up immediate uncomfortable questions about the leadership, the tactics, and the spine of the squad. Okay, the season's one game all, but the pressure is already massive. United fans, how are you feeling? Let me know in the comment section, because that was a historically bad start, to be honest. Okay? Just when you thought the weekend could get crazier, you head down to West London. And speaking of shocking results, let's talk about what happened at the Gatwick Community Stadium. Brentford 3, Tottenham Hotspur 0. If the United result was a shock, this was a public execution. From the first whistle, Brentford was just relentless. This was a team that, in the words of Spurs old manager, Roberto De Zerbi, was simply ready to fight. In a way, his side clearly wasn't. His side clearly wasn't ready. Okay. And oh boy, did it so. Brentford's press was suffocating. Their attacks were, lightning fast, and their self-pace was off the chart. Okay. The goal from Kenny, Lewis Potter, was a perfect snapshot of Brentford's game plan. They swarm Spurs high up the pitch, force a turnover, and punish the mistake ruthlessly. The second tap in by Janelt doubled the lead before halftime and sent the home fans into a party. Okay, and just after the restart, they added a third to complete the humiliation. To make it even worse for Spurs, Brentford even missed a penalty. It could have easily been 4. It could have been easily been 4. For Tottenham, this was a horrible performance. A team with supposed top 4 ambitions looked completely lost. They were bullied physically, they were naive tactically, okay, and they looked spiritually broken. De Zerbi said after the game his team didn't fight in the right way, which has to be the understatement of the century. This wasn't just a loss, it was a systemic failure. Brentford, meanwhile, under head coach Andreas, looked like a team that knows exactly what it is. Organized, aggressive, intense. They have turned their stadium into a fortress. And on Saturday, they turned it into a torture chamber for Tottenham. Away from the meltdowns, some teams laid down a serious marker, while others were stumbling. The reigning champions, Arsenal, looked every bit the path. They kicked off their title defense with a calm, composed, and utterly dominant 3-0 victory over a newly promoted Coventry. Okay. Newly promoted Coventry. It was the complete opposite of chaos that we saw in Spurs and Manchester United's game. So a goal from Kai Havertz, Bukayo Saka, and the captain Martin Odegaard sealed a comfortable win. Arsenal was always in control, managing the game like the champions they are. While other title hopeful were panicking, the Gunners were all business. It was a clear message. We are still the team to beat. We are still the team to beat. And then there was Brighton. They didn't just win, they obliterated Aston Villa in a 4-0 thrashing that has them sitting pretty at the top of the table. This was a blistering breakthrough. It was a performance, Within the first 31st minute, the game was over. Brighton were 4 goals up. thanks to an own goal, a strike from Maxim, and a quick fire double from Jack Henselwood. To make Villa's day even worse, their debutant, Gomez, got sent off before halftime. It was a historic collapse for Villa, who looked stunned by Brighton's speed and precision. They sent a message to the entire league: underestimate us at your peril. That's what Brighton said. What a weekend. We have seen meltdowns, masterclasses, absolute mayhem. Okay. If you are enjoying this recap and want more Premier League analysis of all season, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel. Now let's get back into it. Not every game was a one-sided breakdown. At St. James Park, we get the blockbuster entertainment of the weekend. Newcastle 2, Liverpool 2. This was a pulsating back and forth classic. Newcastle flew out the gates, taking the lead inside 5 minutes through Elanga. Liverpool clawed their way back after the break, with Cody Gakpo equalizing, only for Joe Willock to restore Newcastle's lead almost immediately. It felt like a classic St. James Park ambush, with the home side looking ready to grab a massive 3-point. But this is the Premier League. It's never over. Deep into stoppage time, in the 99th minute, Liverpool won a penalty, and Dominic Szoboszlai, converted to a snatch, a dramatic point at the death. It was a perfect summary of the weekend. Meanwhile, some of the league's other giants had to really work for their points. Manchester City, under new manager Enzo Maresca, got a real scare from Bournemouth. They went behind too, but this is City. They kept pushing, and their quality eventually broke through. Late goals from defenders, Mark Gay and Virgil turned the game around, sealing a dramatic 2-1 comeback win. It was a reminder that even when they are not at their best, City find a way to win. They always find a way to win. And to recap it all, we had a Monday night thriller at Craven Cottage. Chelsea, also with a new manager in Xabi Alonso, edged out Fulham in a chaotic 3-2 victory. Chelsea took the lead after just 32 seconds through João Pedro, before being paged back by Josh King equalizer. The debutant, this guy, Morgan Rogers, put Chelsea back in front, and Carl Palmer added a third goal before Fulham pulled another one back. So, there you have it. 1 week down, the Premier League is already delivering pure, uncut chaos. We have seen title contenders humbled, underdogs rise up, last-minute drama that left us all breathless. Hull City win over Manchester United, Brentford's demolition of Spurs have already thrown the script out the window. Arsenal looks like the only top side that came to play, while Manchester City had to grind it out the hard way. Brighton looks like they could be this season's dark horse, and that Newcastle-Liverpool game was just pure edge of your seat entertainment. This weekend proved one thing. In the Premier League, you can take absolutely nothing for granted. The predictions are worthless. The story is just getting started. What was the biggest shock for you? Was it United's collapse, Spurs' humiliation, or Brighton's stunning statement? Let me know your thought down in the comments. And if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe for more recaps during what's happening up to be an insane season. I'll see you next week. Bye.